hire some of the kids that were delivering papers and whatnot, and it was really a good thing for the community. So one of the things that is a byproduct of my farming operation is produce, garden vegetables, fruits, and that type of thing. So one of the things Bob's talked about here several times is what do we do between the rows? Well, one of the things I enjoyed last year, we didn't quite get the timeliness on planting this year. It was a challenge to get anything in the ground this year. But along with the cover crop and some of the ground cover stuff he's got going on here, we've been able to put garden vegetables and things like purple top turnips. People call them cow peas, but I call them purple hull peas. We also have some of the greens, like some of the collard green looking stuff that's sitting there. All of that sells at the market. All we got to do is pick it, bunch it up, and get it on a truck and take it in. If I can focus your attention to that table over there, you'll see a bunch of gourds there. Those gourds are part of this cover crop mix that we put in between the rows. They grow up on the corn, and all we have to do is go out there and harvest them. That's another byproduct. So this year, and we did a little bit last year, but this year we decided, hey, let's take some of these gourds to the farmer's market and see what we can get for them. And to our surprise, Jerry, right? $1 a gourd, and they just flew off the table. So I got another product there that I can sell at the farmer's market. Now the other thing I'm considering is I have friends that have horses. Horses are becoming more and more popular. So one of the things I'm looking at is the possibility, especially in the 90 and maybe the 60-inch rows, they make little round balers that are able to get in between those rows. I'd like to maybe bale up some of those smaller bales so that these friends of mine that have horses, they can get these little bales and handle them and get them where they want for their horses. You know, we can put in a mix out there to allow us to do that. So the challenge for me is to figure out how can I be more diversified here on my farm. I'm a little guy. I don't have 1,000 acres, and I never will have 1,000 acres, but I got land, and I want to figure out how to make it productive. The best thing I've seen so far about this is I can now get some more diversification off of this land and make it do more with less. That's what I'm doing. And at the same time, I get a chance to do what's right for the soil, okay? I haven't tilled this, and I'm going on my 8th year of no-till here. And I just had a little conversation with Schaefer here. I said earlier, you know, about our first meeting, because I was in the tilling, man. But if you go up there and look at my tillage equipment, there's trees growing around it. It's rusty because I haven't used it in 7 years. I got a John Deere field cultivator up there. The sweeps are all covered with rust. I haven't used it. So I'm looking at that and saying, what's the next page for me to turn here on this ground and on this farm is going to be the right thing, not only for my profit center I'm trying to make here, but for the nature itself, for the ground itself. We have plenty of deer and wildlife that's coming in here now, and we've noticed birds and whatnot that we haven't seen in a long time. My dad passed away, rest in peace, but before he died, you know, I was still doing that tilling. He says, you know, I noticed something, Mike. We don't see the birds. Years ago when we used to till, we used to see blackbirds and all kinds of birds coming in because they had something behind that plow or that tillage equipment to eat. You don't see that anymore. We saw that go away on our farm. And we're trying to figure out what happened. Well, now that I've spent some time with Michael Lubers, Schaefer, and some other people, I know there's a whole city up under that soil. And I didn't know that before. And every time you disturb that city, you got a problem. You want to make sure that that city stays undisturbed as much as possible. So you don't till. And if you don't till, that city gets better and better. I think I've heard Michael say you get the chemistry right and you get everything right as far as the soil goes, and you don't need all of this input and all of this commercial fertilizer. And I'm getting to the point, I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting to the point where I can't afford all these inputs and stay in business. So that's what we're looking at. We're trying to get diversified so that we can survive and maintain our operation here as a farming operation. Any questions?
All right, so we're going to segue to the soil health part. Some of you asked about what's out there it's hard to find anything, but this is what we planted mid-August. What should have drilled in, should have been done earlier, but the mix, and it's what Green Cover called a warm season soil builder. Flax, rapeseed, cabbage, mustard, buckwheat, sunflower, okra, millet, sorghum, cowpeas, soybean, forage soybeans, mung beans, and sunhemp. So that's a brew. That's like a witch's brew that we throw in the drill. And what's been interesting for me, just to review the 5 principles of soil health. Actually, they say there's 6. Number 1 is what your context. Your context is what Mike just talked about. Low disturbance. So that means no kill. It also means fewer chemicals. I think they consider chemicals to be a disturbance. Some of you guys got to help me. I'm going to forget before I get to the end of the list. No disturbance. Keep it covered. And we see a real beneficial effect. Last year, I did a water flow simulation thing up at Graham's. 56% reduction in runoff of a water plot that we did. Intend to do the same thing here. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So keep it, no disturbance. Keep it covered. Keep something living in the ground all the time. And that's where overwintering cover crops, the cereal rye, those sort of things are really good. Another one is diversity. And most folks that talk about cover crops, it's like cereal rye, right? Or cereal rye and maybe 1 or 2 other things. I really have come to appreciate the mix because the nature adapts. Different parts of this field as you walk around have different species that are dominant out of this mix, and they adapt to the weather. Last year the millet went crazy. We went back and there wasn't really all that much in it, but the conditions, the soil, the weather were right. Keep something living, diversity, and then bring animals back onto the farm. We haven't done that. We have a lot of walk-on animals. And there's friggin' turkey, and I can hardly come out in some of the other fields that are a little larger, and I'm always flushing up a deer and all of that. So these guys, I think, are ready now. I just got the nod. And
no, that's a
oh, you were green. Okay.
I like the walk-on animals. That's a good one.
Snacks and stuff we got up there.
Yeah. So are you?
Yeah,
Oh, if you guys want to take a break and get,
Yep.
go
Okay.
and
So
have some
grab
food and
a
stuff, and then we'll be
donut
ready to
or a
go.
little bit of meat and.
Yeah, we got crackers and cheese over there. There's a meat tray over there.
Okay.
And then there's a restroom up the hill there.